to the second version of the Women's Rugby Pod this week. She's still Rachael Burford. She's still a World Cup winner, amongst others. And I'm still Johnnie Hammond. It's a massive week for Women's Rugby. The Women's Six Nations kicks off this week, standalone, all by itself. On Pod 1, we heard from the England camp. We heard from Italy and from France. In this pod, we're going to concentrate on the Celtic nations. We're going to hear from Dr. Rachael Malcolm, the Scotland captain, ahead of their game against the old enemy. The new Ireland captain, Nichola Fryday, joins us from the Emerald Isle. From one captain to another, let's go now to Wales and Siwan Lillicrap, the now professional rugby player. Rachael Lillicrap, the Wales captain, thank you so much for joining us on the pod again. Wanted to get the big dogs on this week. It's a big week, so get the big dogs on. How are you, COVID kid?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm fighting fit and well. Thankfully, it didn't hit me hard, and was in and out pretty rapid, which I'm grateful for, because that's the problem is with COVID. You don't know how long that line's going to appear for, how badly it's going to affect you. But I'm very grateful that I didn't get a bad experience, and I'm back in training, back in camp with the girls and preparing for Ireland. So all good and super excited.
Good, I'm pleased. That's the personal bits out of the way. Glad you're fitting well and firing. Let's just whiz back before we look forward, obviously, to the game of the weekend and your preparations and what have you. But talking about those preparations, how was USA? Enjoy that?
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Obviously, USA are a good outfit, athletic, fast, physical team. We got exactly what we wanted out of that fixture. I think we played 35 girls as a squad, so a huge amount of rotation, especially that second half. Changes, a lot of changes happening, but that was good. Everyone had an opportunity. We managed to look at some plays, look at some of our structures, looked at what works, and given us something to review, reflect, and work on over the last 2 weeks now heading into the campaign. So we got exactly what we needed out of it, and USA were a great team to host and play against, and that was we really enjoyed the occasion.
Nice and physical. How is it then being a professional player, going into a Six Nations? That's unprecedented. Playing warm-up games. I mean, it's just Dreamsville, isn't it? I mean, but in all seriousness, how much different is it? How much more of a spring is there in your step? Is it very noticeable? Yeah,
I feel it massively. It is hugely noticeable. I feel fresh. I feel excited. We feel more confident, and the bonds as well that we create because we're in each other's company a lot more as players is massive. Like, we're loving every moment. We're loving the journey. At first, I think I didn't know myself, Johnny. I was like, what? I haven't got all these WhatsApp messages to reply to, all these emails. Like, I've got nothing else to worry about apart from training and playing. But now that we're in full swing of it, I'm loving every moment and relishing it, really. And we all are. So, we're extremely grateful. We're making every rep count, and we're excited now to see, really, it's hard. Performance doesn't change overnight. Like, that's not what performance is about, and performance sport, it takes time, but we're 2 or 3 months in, and the way we feel as individuals and collectively is a positive place. So I think we're just excited to see how we measure and how our performances go in the Six Nations.
Well, either great minds think alike, or you're just very, very good at this. I suspect it's probably the latter, because I'm just going to move on to my next question being, is that what the Welsh public are going to see? Actually, it's that psychological stuff actually coming together. It's going to take a little bit more longer for the physical stuff as fully professional athletes to kick in. It's probably a little early to see those gains just yet, but actually you as a team coming together, that's what we're really going to see. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think you just nailed it there, to be fair. It's about us coming together as a team and being able to execute what we work on and on the training field, be able to put it into play and feel like we can execute it and have the confidence to try stuff because we've had time to practice it and work on it. And the best bit for me as well as a professional player now is you got time to work on those individual skills that you need to work on, and that might not be high intensity stuff. That could be like me looking at 8 stuff at the back of the scrum, my delivery, my process, which before, like, that almost neglected. You're looking at team stuff, right? What do we need to do to go in? You're in training, you're home and you're working. So all of those little bits, we've all had an opportunity to start dipping our hand in and working on them, and we're seeing gains. So like if we're seeing gains in a short space of time, I'm just excited to see what this squad can truly do with more time, more resource. And that's the exciting bit, really. We're only now entering into this world. So yeah, we're just looking forward to seeing how far we've come, what we've already learned, how we put that into play, because that will give us a taste of how far we can go,
Yeah, absolutely. You look excited. It's lovely.
Yeah.
You genuinely look excited. Of those listeners, yeah, Sharon is sitting there beaming from ear to ear, just relishing the thought of getting into it this weekend and getting into Ireland. Let's cut to the weekend then. You spoke about the squad there. Just pick out one or two names, possibly some of the newer names that people might not know, that truly getting you excited, or possibly even some returnees.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's an exciting squad. It's a mixture of experience and some newbies in there. We've all probably heard of her already, especially through Alliance 15s. Cecilia Tuilopu, outstanding individual, 18 years old, like a strong, physical girl, but also a great girl to have in the environment. Keeps us all young, to be honest, with her TikToks and everything else. And yeah, a couple of girls have already mentioned it before. She's too cool for this squad, which she absolutely is, but it tries to bring us along with us. So she's a dominant force on the field, but also a great squad player and a great girl to have in the environment. So loving her. And then, we've got people like Jenny Scobell as well, a new front rower in the mix, which I'm excited. Like Jenny's new, she's come from Welsh Prem, really strong girl, excited to see how she develops throughout this campaign. And then we've got loads of experience as well. And, girls like Sean in the autumns, like Alicia Butchers has been on fire for Bristol Bears and was really good in the autumn. So looking forward to see how Alicia goes. But, we've got Jazz Joyce and Kaylee Powell as well in that backfield, which is, I spoke about it earlier, like they're just going to be dangerous because they do it week in, week out, and they're going to be dangerous again because they're such a threat, so much pace and skill, and how they bounce off each other is really good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that combination as well.
You spoke a little bit more about the newer players there. Some more experienced players. Shona Harris obviously plays in the back row. At number 8, it was certainly the name that jumped out at me, because she's just been brilliant for Worcester for many a year now. For whatever reasons, not been involved, don't need to get into that, but she is back now. Is it nice to have the likes of her and Karis Phillips around, just to share that responsibility and that leadership a little bit more, and take a little bit off your shoulders?
Oh yeah, massive. Like having someone of Shona's experience is huge for the squad, for her to come in and bring some of her knowledge and experience. And as you say, she's been on form for Worcester for some time. So also the competition that she adds to that back row is brilliant. Like it's a coach's headache, and that's exactly what we want to be creating, is headaches for coaches, because that means our squad is strong. So that's brilliant, and that's Shona coming back in as welcome from that aspect. Our back row, it's a tough call. Like it's really hard for coaches in that position. So that's happy days. That just shows we're in a strong spot with the addition of Shona. So that's fantastic. And yeah, Karis has been a great addition since autumns as well. She took her opportunity with both arms, played brilliantly, give us great platform. And she's a full-time contracted player as well, and pushes the standards daily with us all. So that's brilliant too. And she's got great experience and a great rugby brain as well. So yeah, like when you add that experience into the mix with the youngsters, like this is an exciting Welsh squad.
Yeah, it certainly is. And yeah, I'm not going to particularly ask you to go there, because you've done it on another media platform. But Laurie Norkett, amazing to see her name. And yeah, there'll be lots and lots of people looking from lots of different places with great pride in seeing her in the squad. Absolutely. Ireland then, new management. Slate's been wiped clean. They've had apologies. A little bit like you guys. So the periphery is really, really positive and feels like moving forward. What are you expecting from them at the weekend?
To be honest, that's the thing. A bit of unknown, because new management, new players, 9 new caps. I think I've seen in their squad. That's massive. So almost a little bit of unknown. But what we do always know from Ireland is the determination, passion, and physicality. You know, they will bring that. And the reality is, similarly to us, they're going to have a point to prove. You know, they've narrowly missed out on World Cup qualification. Lots of disruption there, and those girls will be chomping at the bit to put in a performance, do that jersey proud, and prove a point that, you know, we're here to stay, and we deserve more than what we've achieved really over the last year, you know, because I know they're gutted with their qualification process, so they'll be looking to prove a point. But as are we lost to them substantially last Six Nations, which was a tough turning point in our history, essentially. And we've come a long way since then with how we all feel and the resources we now have. So we've got to back that up with performance. So we've got a point to prove. And because now we're professional and we're working hard week in, week out. So I think it's going to be, you know, it's going to be a tough test match, but these are the type of test matches we want. And hopefully we've done enough work to come out on top. But the main thing for us is we're concentrating on what happens within our own arena and what we can control. And that is our performance outcomes and how we execute our game plan, essentially. So that's what we're working towards now. And I'm just excited to see how we can hopefully execute that and deliver upon it. But yeah, there's obviously going to be loads of external noise and pressure. You know, you're now professional and you should be doing this, this, and this. But the message to the girls this week is like, let's concentrate on what we're trying to achieve and what we're trying to do. But I know for certain it's going to be a tough test match.
Yeah, it certainly will be. She's got all coachy on us, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry.
Performance outputs and all the rest of it. No, we all know what you mean. But you're looking within yourself, controlling controllables. Absolutely. Last one, because I get the sense you want to get out in the park and play Ireland in the next 5 minutes. What constitutes success this Six Nations for Wales, Sharon?
I think for us, it's consistent performance. So consistently performance for 80 minutes. So game upon game and 80 minutes. And continuously taking steps forward. So each game by game, you know, varying our game and taking strides forward in how we win or how we adapt to the game scenarios. And I think that's success for us. We've seen it in autumn. You know, we've got a 2-year losing streak. We win against Japan, we win in South Africa. It's 2 steps forward. We have a 40-minute performance against Canada, essentially first half, and then they come firing at us. We didn't deal with it the best. It's about 80-minute performances week in, week out. And yeah, that needs to be our focus, essentially, where we want to be known as a team that works hard around the park and works for 80 minutes. So that's how we'll measure ourselves, is how we deliver that for the full game.
Brilliant stuff. I will let you go. Really, really appreciate you coming on and giving us your thoughts ahead of this really important week of what is an incredibly exciting and important year for Wales women's rugby, for women's rugby altogether. But much appreciated and really, really excited to see you go at the weekend.
I'm Jade Conco and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Awesome to speak to Shona Lillicrap, and looking forward to getting some other Welsh players on the pod as this Six Nations goes on. She speaks very, very well, doesn't she? And just again being a little bit realistic, wasn't she? Like Jada saying that the professionalism, togetherness, and all the rest of it is certainly there, but actually those physical gains which we're seeing from England now, where they're X amount of months down the line, won't probably kick in this Six Nations. It's going to take a little bit longer, and obviously, reap the benefits, hopefully, as far as they're concerned, at the World Cup.
Yeah, and I think, does that mean they're going to go out and try and not win games? I don't
of course
think
not.
so. But I think just having that kind of realistic approach to what they want to achieve and how they're going to do it and how to match themselves up. And where that gap still is, they're very much in their infancy at the moment, but that is going to have a massive dramatic effect on their results. I think they are going to be far more competitive. They are going to be far more together. They're going to be tactically very, collectively on the same sort of page, as opposed to just a couple of people pulling the strings for them. so I think they've got so much excitement to go into this, because I think now is a real opportunity to see where they are, and I think they're going to surprise themselves at the leaps and bounds that they would have made. But also it will highlight the physical attributes, as you mentioned, that take time to develop and improve. But yeah, you can't but feel pretty excited about what this side's going to produce. We see the majority of them performing so well at Bristol Bears and across some of the other teams as well. You know, a couple of new faces in there, a couple of uncapped, Emma Swords being one of them, from Harlequins. She's been involved in the squad. So, you know, they've got a little blend of all of that to go together. It's going to just be so exciting to see what they produce this weekend. And going up against a team very much similar but not in the same position, as we've mentioned before, around how the whole new blend of Ireland and what they're going to be able to bring, and like you say, the fire in their belly. You know, for them two to be going head to head early, like in first round, I think couldn't have been a better matchup.
No, I couldn't agree more. I don't know whether it's us being excited about the position of Welsh women's rugby, but for me, it's one of the most exciting Welsh squads for quite some time. As you say, 6 uncapped players. I've got to give a little nod to Larry Norkett. People would be very proud from high and below. Also including that uncapped sort of group, Jenny Scoble, who Sharon spoke about there, Emma Hennessy, you mentioned Emma Swords, and Cecilia Tuapolotu, who could be very, very big for Wales, the Gloucester Hartpury player. Craigie George is in there as well, who's been marshalling the troops at Gloucester Hartpury very, very well indeed. And then Kaylee Powell and Kelsey Jones, who were out for large parts of last year with injury, come in as well. But the one big name for me was Shona Harris. Lucky to spend some time with Ollie Phillips, who of course coached Wales women for a short time until COVID came around. He said he's basing the entire team around her, such as her ability as an athlete, but also as a rugby player. Great to see her back, and some selection headaches in that back row now.
Yeah, no, I'm really pleased to see her. I mean, you just look at how some of the players have fought. We mentioned Bristol, but how they're playing at Worcester. You know, it's exciting that they've got a lot of more depth there. They're not relying on just one player to hold the fort and to create something and kind of be that pivotal individual. They've now got units. They've got groups of players who are playing together. They're consistently playing together. And then we see the effect, and we have seen the effect for so long, where how the English players have played at clubs together and then gone straight into an international setting, and it'd be really seamless. And yeah, headaches, competitiveness, you know, you want players like that. And I think, you know, the fact that, you know, some more retainers were announced and things like that, like, there's always more opportunities to come from this squad. And I think as a player, if you're not right in the mix at the moment, you've got everything to play for and everything to fight for. So yeah, it makes it pretty interesting. And like I said, genuinely really excited to see how Wales go. And I genuinely want them to perform. I want them to do really well because they deserve it.
Yeah, they do indeed. We'll talk about coming out of a sort of darkness into some light. Ireland close on the heels of them. What do you make of Ireland's squad?
Yeah, I think again, we've obviously seen some players depart. They've got a lot of new talent coming in. They did some talent ID stuff, some kind of screening workshops to see what level of talent and ability that they have within Ireland. They've obviously got quite a few players playing overseas. So again, it's very similar to how, you know, with you in Wales, just without that kind of paid contract side of things. New coach, new players in. There's a lot of experience in there. Again, they will be still hurting the fact that they aren't going to the Rugby World Cup massively. Yeah. And they'll want to make sure that they're doing the jersey proud, and they'll want to restore some of that, you know, within their own systems, but also for their fans and for the country. They'll want to make sure that they're fitting the green jersey with as much pride as they can, and want to go out, and they'll want to start with a bang. And again, another country that's come on, but there's a hell of a lot more that needs to be going on within their own organisation. But we know that things are moving forward, which is great. But yeah, I think they're just going to have something about them this year. So it feels like they're going under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
And you don't underestimate a wounded Irish side.
No, indeed so. Well, look, let's go right inside the Island camp now and speak to their new captain, Nichola Fryday. Thank you so much, Island captain Nichola Fryday, joining us on the Women's Rugby Pod. How does the armband fitting round on the top of the arm there? The big smile is telling us it all. But where are the emotions in terms of the sort of personal accolade of leading your country to the Six Nations?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind of a week, but I found out on Sunday, so in camp with the girls in a team meeting, and Greg zoomed in my parents for the announcement as well. So that was really, really nice, and really, like, it made it a very kind of special moment for me and my family. Look, it's a huge honor, I suppose. Like, there's only a select few that kind of get to captain your country. So for me to be given this opportunity, I just feel completely privileged and honored, and I have such the squad of girls behind me they're unreal. So it's really exciting, and I'm just really looking forward to kicking off the tournament now on Saturday.
Yeah, huge congratulations from everyone here. Talking about that squad, and obviously now that with Thursday now, and that team has been announced, it looks certainly on paper like a very, very strong squad.
Yeah, like, look, we have quality players across the 38 player squad. I suppose this 23 are the lucky ones that have got to put the jersey on first. So I'd hope that with the girls that we have out on the pitch that we'll be able to hit the ground running now on Saturday afternoon. But yeah, like, it's an exciting squad, and like, we're really looking forward to just getting out on the pitch now.
Is there a sense, and we're looking forward, certainly not back. Is there a sort of freshness to it? That's going to come, of course, with a new coach and a new captain. But does there seem to be a slight lightness to everything, and some stuff, some water's gone under the bridge, and we're looking forward now as an Irish women's programme? Is there a real sense of that starting into this Six Nations campaign?
Yeah, 100%. Like, there's no point dwelling on the past, and
Yep.
For us now, we're moving forward, and we want to put Irish women's rugby right back on track. And our first step to doing that is this Six Nations, and putting some really quality performances out on the pitch, and just coming away from it being really happy with what we can do, and looking back at what we can improve again and push on forward. Like, we're the only team in the Six Nations that aren't going to a World Cup, but we want to prove that we should be one of the teams going to a World Cup. So that's kind of like, that's I suppose, the chip on our shoulder for the Six Nations. But like, we just want to focus on ourselves and just make sure that we are putting out really good, exciting performances for our supporters, and that it just shows kind of the direction that we're kind of trying to move forward as a squad and as a team.
What's been the number one thing you would say that sort of changed and that Greg McWilliams has brought in? What was top of his kind of list to alter or change or just adjust slightly?
Like, he's put big emphasis on like ball and play time. So like, he wants us to be like firing through plays and keeping the momentum of the game going, momentum high, and putting up like our opposition under pressure with the amount of time that we have our ball in play. So that's been a big focus of his, and like, that's what our training sessions over the last few weeks have been focused on. And like, it's been really like beneficial. I think like we're doing those drills, but then we go into like kind of match pace, and like, it feels nearly easier than what you're training at, if you get me. So it's been good to kind of inject that kind of that pace and that high ball demand into the game again.
And speak to us about this weekend finally, about Wales. What are you expecting from them? What are you going to bring to the party at the RDS?
Like, they're a hugely physical pack and team. Like, they're going to come here probably looking to target us like physically, and put us under pressure through big carries and big tackles. So like, we need to make sure that we kind of match them with that intensity, and also that we kind of get to play the ball a bit wider and like get like our moves executed, because they will pounce on any error that we make. They're that kind of team. So it's going to be, but I think it's going to be a good match. Like, we're really excited. Like, I think it's well matched, the two teams. So it's going to be a good day on Saturday, I think.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Two teams with plenty to prove. I mean, just those battles out wide are just going to be exceptional. Look, I'll let you get off. Thank you so much for squeezing us in today. Really appreciate it. All the best for the weekend and for the rest of the tournament.
Great, thank you very much.
I'm Kira Bevan, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Talk to us about Scotland then, Rachael Burford.
Look, I think Scotland are in a relatively good place. They've probably had the most amount of preparation that they've had going into any Six Nations, just with the Dubai campaign, obviously the autumn and the World Cup qualifiers then. But they're going to have a lot of confidence within their team for doing what they did, where probably everybody that had written them off expected Ireland to win and probably didn't expect Italy to go through as well. And so I just think, they're a team that are simmering really nicely. They've got so much talent, like they genuinely do. And it's with all that time together, can they produce something that we haven't seen before? Potentially. I just question whether, mentally it's been such a tough 2 years for them. Things getting cancelled, moving left, right and centre, then going to all the qualifiers, then going to Dubai, now straight back into Six Nations. It's tough. It's tough for the players. So, how mentally strong can they be during this campaign? What support do they have during the campaign as well? But they've got plenty of ingredients to really challenge teams this year.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, let's speak to the captain then. Joining us to represent north of the border, it's the Scotland captain, Dr. Rachael Malcolm. Look, she's still grinning from walking around Murrayfield.
I always
Got the tan from Dubai, the grin from Murrayfield walking around the stadium. How are you? How's things?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Back in camp this week with the girls, which has been class. I'm excited for a big few weeks ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. But because you spent a lot of time together, World Cup warm-ups, obviously that time, extended time out in Dubai, you just pick up. It's like riding a bike, is it? You just pick up kind of where you've left off, whereas that possibly wasn't the case in the past.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've probably hit the nail on the head. Like we've talked a lot about the fact that we're a lot more settled than any Six Nations we've come to before, because it is often like that's your first camp of the year or your first camp of the season. Whereas, like you say, we've had all that build up towards playing out in Italy in September, then all that build up towards autumn games, and then playing out in Dubai in January, February time. So yeah, we feel pretty good about where we're at and feel good about the way we want to play and stuff like that. So it is a bit different to previous Six Nations, but we feel pretty confident.
Good. It certainly seems like a very settled side. Pick out one or two names, possibly some of the less well-known names that that our listeners are going to have to look out for in the Six Nations.
Yeah, so in the forwards, I'll probably pick out Evie Gallagher. She's a back row who's had a fair few opportunities now. We saw her in last year's Six Nations. We've seen her all through the autumn and out in the qualifiers as well. And she's kind of can play 6, 7 or 8. She's someone that's got a bit of everything. She's very physical, very strong, super athletic, really, really talented back row. So she's someone I'm excited to see how she goes. And then in the backs, the likes of Shona Campbell out in the wing. So she's been in the GB7s programme. She's made a massive impact in training, every opportunity she's got. So she's had 2 caps now, and really performed well in both of those opportunities, and in training, really pushing for a starting spot or a spot in a Six Nations match day squad. So she's super exciting. And also another one I'd probably pick out is Evie Wells in the centres. She's someone that's been fantastic in training and worked her absolute socks off. So those are probably my 3 to watch.
Awesome. There you go. Straight from within the camp. And a few of the more experienced heads just returning as well. Just think of the likes of Hannah Smith. If things do get rough, you need to put some fires out. Of course, sorry. That was terrible.
We've got a gal.
Dreadful, wasn't it? You got firefighter Jay Conkle back in. Yeah,
no, Hannah's a massive addition in terms of that midfield. She's a threat in terms of particularly, the line she cuts in attack. She's world class at that, but also defensively, she's absolutely solid and one of the best tacklers in our team. And Jade God, we all know what Jade brings. Like,
Oh.
she's probably the most prolific carrier well, in my opinion, I'm biased, but in world rugby, you know, the numbers she racks up game on game, and not just the numbers, but the impact with each of those carries is phenomenal. So to have a player like that to give you front football, no matter who you're playing against, is massive. So to have her back, obviously she was away last Six Nations, is class, and both those players are great to have in and around camp as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a bit nervous about selection?
Yeah, always nervous about selection. It's the same every game, and especially I mean, more so now. Like, we've built a huge amount of depth in our team, and so like all of us are fighting for spots, which is exactly where we need to be to push Scotland women forward. So, always nervous.
It was slightly tongue in cheek. The listeners probably can't look the right smile on my face. I mean, speaking of Jade, it moves us on to just a couple more, if you would, Rachel. She took on Saracens' back row, probably clear up Miley Packer, Vicky Fleetwood. Yeah, that could be an England back row, and was absolutely outstanding last time they played. So, you know, she can certainly do it. Is it a good time to face England first up?
I don't know whether it's a good time or not, if I'm honest with you. You know, like, it's one of those. To be fair, I think if I'm thinking about it selfishly from our point of view, it's probably good, because if anyone's going to highlight some of your weaknesses, it's the best team in the world. So why not do it at the start of the championship, and, you know, learn from those kind of key lessons as we come through the game, and go on and get better game on game, because that's our big aim. But it's probably the best time for us. We're fresh. We're excited to get going with a new aim ahead of us. And yeah, first up, toughest challenge. Let's go.
Happy days at the DAM Health Stadium. Is that?
Dam Health. Yeah, that's the one.
Dam Health Stadium. What do you have to get right, Rachel?
Defense. So yeah, you're playing against the best team in the world. So you've got to get your defensive systems right. They have threats in every single position across the pitch, and you give them a sniff of a chance and they'll be through. So defensively, we have to be on the money. And then I think when we have the ball, we've got to play our rugby and not let them dictate what we do. So those would probably be our two kind of focuses going into the game.
Yeah, it's a big old white behemoth juggernaut, isn't it? That you can get sort of sucked into it and what have you. And very, very lastly, you set goals. You ask this, and they're not often given publicly, but you know, it's a big old year. You've now got the World Cup. That weight is off the shoulders.
Yeah.
Is it now purely about performance building to World Cup, or is it right? We've got to say win those home games, etc., etc.
It's probably a bit of a boring one from us, because we are really not focusing on wins. We obviously go into every single game trying to win, and I think if we put the performances in, we will get wins. But we've just come off the back of focusing on one end goal for 6 years, and now we are finally kind of there. Now we've got however many months till New Zealand to get as good as we can possibly get in quite a short space of time. So this period is going to be about us improving game on game, putting in consistent performances, but also blooding as much new talent as we can. So we've had a pretty consistent group of players who've started and been in matchday squads, and players who've got bits of time here or there. This is going to be about trying to get those players exposure to test match rugby and start getting us ready to go and take on a World Cup.
Well, I think, Berth, that's just about the Six Nations covered. What's that? Just four of the captains, one of the head coaches, and lovely Jana from sunny Palmer. So I think that's the Six Nations pretty much covered off for week one. There is some news from around the world to bring people up to date with, though, isn't there?
There is, and we've got some news regarding the European Championship. Sweden beat Switzerland 48-0. Sweden execute a dominant display to win this year's European trophy. So congratulations to you. Despite one more game to go, Finland versus Switzerland, Sweden are clearly top of the table.
The round sevens is set to return for the first time since 2019. On April 23rd, 24th, the first round of the women's qualifiers will take place. The teams competing are Canada, Jamaica, Mexico, Trinidad and Tobago, Dominican Republic and Cayman Islands. It'll be a round robin, and then the top two will play in a final.
And Blackburn Sevens take the win in the third leg of the Super 7 series.
They do indeed. News from Canada. Sandro Farino leaves his position as head coach. This ends an 11-year stint with the organisation, including 4 years as head coach of the senior women's 15s programme. Kevin Ruert will replace him as the women's senior 15s head coach, promoting him from assistant coach for the past 4 years.
And bringing you some Premier 15s League news. With the Premier 15s on break for the Six Nations, there will be no official rounds last weekend. However, a rescheduled match saw Saracens beat Gloucester Hartbury 35-20 to extend their league to the top of the table. We have the first round of the second leg of the Allianz Cup this weekend. In Pool A, Harlequins versus Bristol Bears, DMP Durham Sharks versus Wasps, and Gloucester Hartbury on a bye. And in Pool B, Exeter Chief versus Loughborough Lightning, Worcester Warriors versus Sale, and Saracens also on a bye.
However, in the English Championship, it was a full round of matches. 2 weeks ago at North, all games were postponed except Loughborough Town, who beat West Park Leeds 64-12. And in the South, there were wins for Buckingham Swans, Old Albanians, Richmond, Thurrock and Hove. And in last week's round of the Championship, in North, Loughborough Town, Harrogate, Cheltenham and Kenilworth all recorded wins. West Park, Leeds and Lichfield played out a 26-all draw. In the South, there were victories for Bath, Richmond, Old Albanians, Henley and Thurrock. So Thurrock lead the Championship South on 39 points with Old Albanians chasing them. And in the North, Cheltenham Tigers extend their supremacy on 87 points with West Park Leeds chasing in second. This weekend, we had Loughborough Town against Fairwood Waterloo, Nova Catchings against West Park Leeds, Kenilworth travel to Harrogate, Lichfield host Barnsley. Down south, we have Battle of the Bees, Bath against Buckingham, Blackheath take on Super Marines and Richmond are on their way to Henley.
For the first time ever, Railway Union have done the double. They won both the All-Ireland League and Cup. They sealed a victory over Bowes with a 52-12 win at Templeville Road.
And it's brilliant tries in there. And that's fantastic for Railway Union. And it's a shame that we're busy with this Six Nations because, obviously we spoke to Lindsay Peat the other week when they picked up the league. But that's brilliant for Lindsay Peat and the crew. Well done them. Super Rugby, Auld had a real trouble getting hold of some Kiwi players in the last few weeks, but we will get some reaction to this. In fact, all 3 rounds have taken place since the last episode. And it's huge congratulations, of course, to Chiefs Manawa, who are crowned this year's champions of the maiden Super Rugby Auld tournament. We will try and get some reaction to that in the next week or so. So the full results, round 1, the Chiefs beat Matatu 17-15. And the Chiefs went on to beat the Hurricanes 29-5. The Blues were victorious over Matatu. And that final round, Matatu went down 6-18 to the Hurricanes, and the Chiefs away win at the Blues 35-0.
And let's take you to the Super W news now. 2 weekends ago in the Super W, Melbourne Rebels. Start that again. And let's take you to some news for the Super W. Melbourne Rebels drew against the Brumbies 17-all. Queensland Red lost to Fiji Drua 12-27. And New South Wales Waratah beat Western Force 31-14. Last weekend, Queensland's Reds 15-10 against Brumbies, and Fiji Drua beat Western Force 45-17, and New South Wales Waratahs beat the Rebels 67-10. Fijian Drua and New South Wales Waratah compete for the top spot of the table heading into the 4th leg. Both teams are on 15 points with 3 wins from 3. Fiji Drua edging ahead on points difference at the moment. There'll be no matches this weekend as there is a week's break. The Super W returns on the 1st of April. Now that's a mouthful.
Isn't it just? My word. It's just some great rugby over there. Any rugby fan worth their salt to see Fijiana Drua winning. And winning well. It's great, isn't it? For the continuation and growth of this game. I'm exhausted. No doubt you are as well, Burf. You've got some other meeting to get to, no doubt. Let's just have a couple of shout-outs just to finish off pod number 2 of this week. One Sporting World Project has set up a Just Giving page towards the Ukrainian refugee effort targeting donations from the rugby community. The link is at justgiving.com/fundraising/David-Cotton15. That's /fundraising/David-Cotton COTTON 1515.
And a huge shout out to No Woman, No Cry, which has its first screening on Amazon Prime on Friday, the 25th of March. But it's also being streamed at Richmond RFC, which is home of the director, Victoria Rush. Tickets are available to attend this screening. Just check out their socials.
Yeah, indeedy. So, and the last shout out to Darlington Ladies RFC are seeking a sponsor for their summer tour 2022. They've got in touch. Wanted a shout out. There it is, Darlington Ladies. Hopefully you can find someone to back what will be a good tour. Yeah, and yeah, fair play. No Woman, No Cry. Good to put these things together. It looks like it's a really, really nice cut. Look forward to certainly seeing that. And yeah, the more chatter, more positive chatter that we can get out, the better. I'm off for a lie down at a Horlicks. Probably not in that order. But yeah, brilliant couple of pods this week, Burf. Thank you to all of our guests, from the England camp to Sarah Hunter, to Simon Middleton, Connie Powell, to Vicky Cornborough, to the captain, Siwan Lillicrap, to Dr. Rachael Malcolm, to Nichola Fryday, and to Jada Franco, to you, Burf, to everyone else for listening, to Tom and to Bluebell. Enjoy, gorge yourself on the Feast of Rugby this weekend.
Until next time.